10 years ago, in 1962, the British Grand Prix was held at Aintree, near Liverpool. But ever since, the race had alternated between Silverstone and Brands Hatch, and this was the fifth Grand Prix on the Kentish circuit. For Chris Amon and the Matra team, the performance in France had been encouraging, and they were hoping to go well on a circuit that, like Clermont-Ferrand, was full of ups and downs, but it had a better surface, and tyre problems should be minimal. With 34 out of a possible 45 points in the first half of the season, Fittipaldi was firmly placed at the top of the World Championship. For the Brazilian, the only real challenge was from Jackie Stewart, for Denny Hulme had been involved in a crash while racing in the Can-Am Series in America. He wasn't injured, but he was off form, and this weekend would be no threat to Fittipaldi's championship hopes. Stewart's chances were bolstered by the new Tyrrell 005. It had been fast in the hands of Sever in France, and now it was the chance for the team's lead driver to test its possibilities. In 1972, ventilated brake discs were the latest thing on Grand Prix cars. Today, they are the norm on family saloons, proof that racing improves the breed. But electronically, the F1 cars of the 70s are like dinosaurs. Then, electronics meant ignition and fuel injection, and that was all. Today, electronics are everywhere. A luxury car's computing power makes a Lotus 72 look like a PC against a supercomputer. The pattern of practice was broken as Jackie Stewart walked back to the pits. The new 005 had done the same thing to him as it had to Francois Sever in France, snapped out of control without warning. For Jackie, it was back to the old car. For the Tyrrell design team, it was back to the drawing board. There were also problems for Amon and the Matra engineers, with a damaged suspension arm. Back in his old Tyrrell 003, Stewart was fast enough for fourth on the grid behind Revson and Fittipaldi. But as the band played during the build-up to the start, the talk was about the speed of poleman Jackie Ickx in his Ferrari. And sure enough, when the flag fell, it was the red car that streaked into the lead, ahead of Fittipaldi and Beltoise, who'd shot through to get ahead of Stewart. Behind them, the field snaked through Paddock Bend and up the hill to Druids Bend before diving down behind the pits. Then it was off into the backcountry of Brands Hatch, the loop that had been added to the circuit to turn it into a track long enough to host a Grand Prix. The original kidney-shaped Brands Hatch track was still there, and it still hosted national races, even one at Christmas. The secret of the appeal of Brands was the superb view spectators got from practically any point on the circuit. There were big grandstands along the pit straight, and the car park on the slope behind the pits offered fans the opportunity to watch the racing from their own cars. The fanfare their horns produced to salute winners was one of the unique features of the circuit. Finally, Stewart managed to get past Beltoise, but he was a long way behind the leading pair, which was dominated by Ickx. Then, with two-thirds of the race run, the Ferrari suffered an oil leak and was forced to retire. The flag was another victory for Emerson Fittipaldi, but during the latter stages of the race, Stewart had caught up with him, and he had to fight every inch of the way. Revson, who finished third, was over a minute behind. The post-race celebrations were not just for the win. Although Stewart, Hulme and Ickx all had a theoretical chance of taking the championship, Fittipaldi's grip on the title was tightening. He'd scored points in 6 out of the 7 races run so far, and he had won 3 of them. Beating him would be difficult.